Hey guys, it's been a minute. With these videos over here on the Happy House, I'm keeping it real casual, so I'm just gonna talk into my phone and you get what you get. So I wanted to talk about some things. The first thing I thought I would share with you guys are some books that I'm reading, and I'm just starting, so I can't do a book review or anything like that, but this is pretty awesome because I usually never have time to read books, and I can't remember the last time I read a book, an actual paperback book, and I decided at the beginning of the year I was going to make it a goal to try to read more paperback books this year. And this one, I wasn't even looking for it. It was one of those times when a random video popped up on YouTube and the guy was really funny. He had my attention. He was talking about birth order, and that's something that's always fascinated me. And he was talking about how I believe he's a marriage therapist, and when he goes into these marriage therapy appointments, he brings up birth order, and he'll ask the husband and wife, so are you a firstborn child? Are you the baby of the family? And I guess that helps him kind of understand the couple and their dynamics, and he's able to better counsel them. And so he had some really funny stories, and he was talking about just all of these factors that play into birth order, but also the other parts of it that can make it a little bit tricky, such as, maybe you're the baby of the family, but you're like 15 years apart from the next child above you. So you kind of grew up as an only child. So, there's all these different factors that play into it. But when you learn about it, it helps you better understand yourself and kind of why you're the way that you are, as well as your other relationships in your life. So, of course, I had to buy his book. Here it is. It's called The Birth Order Book. Totally makes sense. Great title. And it says, Why You Are the Way You Are. And it's by Dr. Kevin Leman. So maybe you've heard of it. If there's anyone out there who knows Dr. Leman, or if you've read this book, comment down below and tell me what you think. So here's the back. There's a picture of his family. He just seems like a really nice guy. And just a little blurb from the back. He says, ever wonder why you just can't get along with certain people? Why you pick the friends that you do, and why you chose the career path you're on? So if you've ever had those questions, this is the book for you. Okay, so there's another book that I've ordered and it hasn't come yet. So I can't say much about it, but it's a book that's been around for a long time. I remember first hearing about it when my oldest was a baby, and he's now almost 19. So the book is called Disconnected Kids. Anyways, if you're not familiar with this doctor is a neurologist, and he has an awesome story about what led him down this path to create brain balance. But basically, he conducted research, and in his own research, he learned that when certain parts of the brain are out of balance, whether a person was born that way, or maybe they were in an accident or had a concussion or something from their environment, there are all kinds of things that can definitely have an effect on our brain. And when certain parts of your brain get out of balance or stop working properly, it leads to all kinds of disorders. He talks about how people with ADHD, OCD, autism, and even schizophrenia, as well as depression and anxiety, were able to experience complete transformation. We're able to experience complete transformation because they began to stimulate those parts of the brain. And he gives this awesome example of, I think it was a 12-year-old boy who had severe autism, and his whole life he was never able to talk and communicate verbally. However, when this doctor began to do his brain balance exercises, suddenly that barrier was removed and he was able to start talking. For the first time in his whole life, he could talk and communicate verbally and have conversations. I remember hearing about this years ago, and then, life gets busy and you end up finding other things that sort of distract you, and you end up finding other things that occupy your time and your resources. But it always makes sense when you can treat your body without having to go to a pharmacy. Don't get me wrong, there are so many great things about modern medicine. I know a lot of people who wouldn't be here today without it, but it definitely eats a hole in your wallet. So the more I can avoid having to go see specialists and spending money at pharmacies, the better life is. So I'm going to see what I can learn from this book and give it a try with some of the exercises and activities that you can do and see how that makes a difference with each member of my family. So that's something we're working on right now. Oh, another thing he said was it can take away your tics. So I have some kids who have nervous tics, and sometimes those tics cause other problems. So I'm looking forward to reading this book. This is going to be great because over the years, we've had doctors and pediatricians tell us there's not much you can do when it comes to tics. We'll see about that. 2025 is the year where I have made it a goal to finally get everything in our life balanced as best as I can, or I should say as best as we can as a family. And so it's kind of a lot to take on, when you have 6 people in your family. So I've started with just a few of us. And for the past few months, I've been working on myself and my oldest daughter. And we've been seeing a fantastic practitioner who is also a friend of mine. And in fact, at some point, I will tell you more about her. I want to get her permission first because I know she has a waiting list right now, I believe, and she's very, very booked. She's very, very busy. She just broke away and started her own practice just this last year, and she just started hiring a little bit of help, but she still has a lot that she does on her own. So she's very, very busy with her work, but she's so good at it. So I promise you at some point when she gives me the green light, I will tell you more about her, but it's been fantastic. We've been doing telehealth appointments, which makes it so nice. And we've been meeting with her since I think last October is when we started. And she has just taught us so much about our health that we had no clue about. So it's interesting because where it's me and my daughter who are meeting with this practitioner, we're learning that we have a lot of similarities because of our genetics. We share DNA. So a lot of the things that I have inherited, which I'll tell you about in a second, she also has as well. And then she has additional things that I don't have, but it's been very interesting learning about all of this. And what's been so wonderful is once you fix something, it kind of fixes the next thing, and then that fixes the next thing and the next thing. And it's sort of this ripple effect. You start to feel a noticeable difference all throughout your body. It reminds me of sort of like a reverse chain reaction. So it kind of reminds me of, the opposite. When you first come down with some kind of a symptom, you go to a doctor and they give you a diagnosis sometimes. If not, they usually always give you some kind of a prescription. And then you go home, start taking that prescription, and then suddenly you have some new side effects from that medication. So then you're back in the doctor's office a few months later, and he's now treating you with a second medication or a second prescription for those symptoms. And then that additional medication brings on some additional symptoms. And it's just sort of like this chain reaction. You're always in and out of doctor's offices. There's always some kind of a new symptom or issue. And I love that this is kind of like the reverse. So as we're figuring out what our bodies need and what they've been lacking because of our genetics, and we start targeting those issues and correcting it, then it's this reverse chain reaction, and we start to see all these other issues resolve and go away. And I'm loving it, you guys. I'm absolutely loving it. So this particular practitioner, she does functional medicine, and she does not use insurance because when you have to deal with insurance, you're very limited because they put restrictions on things. They'll say, I will pay for that, I won't pay for that. So the doctors are very limited with what they can do. Well, when you push insurance out of the way, you have free reign. So she's able to order any blood tests that she needs. And the first appointment is a couple hours long, which is incredible because The thing I've always despised over the years with doctors is you wait so long in the waiting room and then they call you back and then they spend less than 5 minutes with you. And somehow they're supposed to know what's wrong with you and how to help you, but they only spent 5 minutes and they don't even know you. Well, with this practitioner, who's also a friend of mine, she spends a couple hours with you at your initial appointment, and she sort of plays like a medical detective. She looks at your health history. I even gave her my DNA tests that I've taken throughout the years for family history purposes, and she's able to look at your DNA and spot those genetic mutations. It feels like a very intense investigation, which is what you want. So it's been great. And then throughout the process, some of the prescriptions she can, if there's supplements that you need, she can call those in to your local pharmacy. And at that point, insurance usually pays for it. So it's been great. I've been really impressed with our experience. So let me just tell you the latest, and this kind of leads into what I wanted to share with you in this video. So some of the things that we've learned about ourselves, well, I guess I'll just tell you about me. You don't need to know about my daughter. Something that runs in our DNA, because we are Scandinavian. I don't know if you could tell. It's no secret. Anyways, we don't absorb vitamin D. So no matter how much we try to take it, or if we spend all day out in the sun, our body just doesn't absorb vitamin D. So that causes all kinds of problems. And some of the other things that I have dealt with my whole life is I am pretty much borderline anemic. So this completely made sense because there have been so many times over the years where the Red Cross would ask me to donate blood because I'm Rh negative. It's not really a rare blood type. I'm A negative, but it definitely is a blood type that's in demand. Anyways, there would be so many times I would go to a Red Cross appointment, and then when they do the screening at the beginning and they ask you all the questions, they do a little finger prick. And every time they would do a finger prick, my iron would be so low that I could not donate. And this would happen time and time again. So I got smart and I started taking an iron supplement like 2 hours before my appointment. And then that seemed to do the trick. But they would still tell me that my iron was low, but it was just high enough that I qualified to donate blood. So, I just figured, well, that's just how I am. I remember as a child, I always craved steak and beef jerky. I could just eat so much steak and bags of beef jerky. And that's probably why. Well, anyways, it turns out my body does not, I can't think of the word, I don't know, metabolize or absorb iron. So I have issues with that as well. So my practitioner has been helping me with that. It's been great. And then the other thing that's been a problem, which I didn't know until my appointment with her, till we did some lab work, was that I also do not absorb vitamin B12. So that makes sense. When I read all the symptoms that can happen when you don't get enough vitamin B12, those were a lot of my symptoms. So she had us start taking these B12 drops that you put under your tongue, and I noticed that that did make a difference. And I thought, okay, well, this is great. This is wonderful. Well, then, let me just tell you, we had a recent follow-up appointment a week ago, and she said, I think you need to try something different. The drops are helping a little bit, but your body still is having a problem even absorbing the drops under your tongue. So we're going to have to do B12 injections. And she said, this is something you're going to do yourself. So I don't know, you guys. I was just thinking, I don't know. I don't know if I could administer shots to myself and my daughter. The closest thing I've ever done to that in my life was way back in high school when I worked at a jewelry store and I pierced ears. But it's really not the same thing. That's more like you have a stapler and you just push the staple gun and it puts the earring in the ear. This is a needle that you are guiding, and you have to get it just right and try not to hit a nerve. And yeah. So, I was a little hesitant, but I thought, well, it can't hurt. I mean, maybe it will hurt, but you'll never know unless you try. So she called in a prescription for the vitamin B12 for the injections, and I went and picked that up from the pharmacy, and my insurance did cover that. And came home and I was able to properly administer that to myself. It was a success. However, when I tried to help my daughter, it was a disaster. It was traumatizing. And I thought, okay, she's never going to let anyone ever do this again. Well, before giving up, I decided to go onto YouTube and watch a ton of videos about how to properly do a B12 injection on yourself or your family members. And after watching about 2 hours of those videos, I finally felt like I could do this. So just before I got on to record this video, I'm happy to let you know that it was a success this time. You're supposed to do it every 3 days, so this was our second time, and it was completely painless. I didn't feel a thing, she didn't feel a thing, and I was able to do it pretty quickly. It didn't even leave a mark or a drop of blood, so yay! But anyways, what I wanted to share about that was I have noticed a huge difference. Oh my goodness, you guys, it's been incredible. So I started noticing it within the first hour, the first time we tried this, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is incredible. I feel like I have more clarity. I feel like I have more confidence in everything that I do. And the thing that was most noticeable was all of these tiny things that have always bothered me. Let me give you an example. When certain people like crunch on ice cubes or chew like a mouthful of pretzels or almonds, and you can just hear that crunching and chomping, that has always really, really bothered me. And it's to the point where it will interrupt my thoughts. I can't think, I can't focus, I can't do anything but notice the crunching. And I can't go on with my life until it stops. I have to either leave the room or just patiently wait for the person to stop chewing or say something. Anyways, so that's a part of ADHD. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's basically being extra sensitive to certain stimulation. So I have it definitely with a lot of smells. I have it with sounds, and that's probably about it. But I noticed within the first couple of hours that people in my house were doing things that usually will kind of bother me, and I didn't even care. I hardly even noticed it. And I don't know how to explain that, but clearly that had to do with the vitamin B12. And after a few days of experiencing what it's like to be sufficient with vitamin B12, I can't believe I've gone my whole life without it. I can't believe I've gone all of these years on this planet being deficient, and I didn't know how life could feel so much better not being deprived of vitamin B12, which I didn't even know I was deprived of. So, oh my goodness, you guys, it's crazy. And over the years, I have eaten foods that are rich in certain vitamins, and I've taken supplements, I've taken multivitamins, I've taken them in the form of capsules, powders, liquids, you name it, and it's been off and on throughout my life. It's not always been a steady thing, or I stick with a certain brand. Well, anyways, I think I was just assuming all of these years that my body was getting what it needed, and apparently it wasn't. And so one of the things physically that I noticed that has gone away because I've taken care of a lot of these issues that she's been helping me with is that I started to get neuropathy, and I started to get tingling in my hands and my feet. And that just started last year, which is really crazy because my dad also started to get that last year, and so did my mom, and so did another sibling. And we're all different ages, and I thought that was so strange that right around the same time, we all started to develop neuropathy. So I have a lot of theories about that, but it wouldn't surprise me if there are common things being put into our environment, and because we share the same genetics, it affects us in the same way. I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. Well, anyways, I have noticed that my critical mind, every now and then you find yourself just being a little bit critical about yourself or people in your family or neighbors, or just maybe somebody cuts you off in traffic and you start to just kind of criticize that person in your mind. All of the critical thoughts and behaviors that are typically pretty normal, I noticed have completely disappeared. It has been so strange in a good way. It feels as though I'm able to look at everyone. It doesn't matter who they are, where they've come from, or what history we have between us. And I'm able to look at everyone the same way and have that same compassion and love towards them. And it's just been an incredible feeling. I definitely have more energy. Like I said, more clarity, better mental cognition. I sleep better now. I'm motivated to complete tasks and have the energy to exercise. I guess you could say, what's the opposite of deficient? Is it efficient? What's the word? Hey, Alexa, what is the opposite of deficient?
The opposite of deficient is not deficient, as in this context. The word deficient refers to an imperfection or lack of something. The opposite of deficient would be sufficient.
Sufficient. Sorry, not efficient.
By the way,
Sufficient.
We have a new notification. Do you want to hear it?
No. Anyways, okay, so I guess you could say being sufficient with your vitamins and minerals, at least speaking for myself, I feel like has helped me become the best version of myself, to be the best person that I can be. This is definitely filtering over to other areas of my life. It's helping me with all these other things that I do and hats that I wear. It's helping me be more productive, more understanding, not quick to criticize or criticize at all, not feeling sensitive ever. So in other words, not feeling like I could possibly get offended or shut down my feelings or something like that. I just feel very confident and hopeful and optimistic and all of these good things that I always have felt like are part of my personality anyways, but it seems to be magnified tenfold. Anyways, for what it's worth, I wanted to share that with you guys, and that's just a little bit of what I've been working on with my health. Something else that has been on my mind a lot lately that has led to another project that I'm working on, and I was going to tell you about it in this video, but I think I'm going to release this video before I'm ready to release that project and announce it. So we're gonna have to wait for one more video. And I'm gonna come on here and share more with you guys. I'll probably say something about it over on my other channel as well. But I talked about over on my Happy Lady channel in my newest video. I noticed with all of these trails in the skies over the past several months and with the crazy weather and things in the air and that mysterious crazy fog, all of that stuff, really started to affect the way that people were feeling in my own family and in my community, and just people online having conversations about how this crazy fog or the weather modification, or what I like to call manipulation, how that has really had an impact on people's feelings and emotions and their physical health, their overall health. That led me down a trail of thoughts. And as I followed one thought after another, and I was reminded of things that I used to teach back when I did motivational speaking and workshops years and years ago. I guess you could summarize it as the science of happiness, and how there really is a science to it. But whenever I talk about happiness, I like to focus on where true happiness comes from, and that comes from having a relationship with Jesus Christ. It comes through the gospel. And of course, that's something that I can't always share, or I couldn't always share when I was getting paid to do public speaking and I was getting requested to teach people how to be happy. And I really just wanted to give them my testimony of the gospel. But I couldn't. These were professional settings. These were businesses and organizations that had hired me to come teach their employees how to be happy, tips and tricks and things of that nature. So I would approach it from more of a research and science perspective. And so that's how I became familiar with all of the science behind that, and how things in the environment definitely impact your feelings and emotions and all of that. Well, anyways, I had been noticing that, of course, right now there are a lot of things around us in the environment, things that are going on right now that are definitely having an impact on people's feelings and emotions and their overall health. And I just had this idea one day to create something. Originally, it was just going to be something that I thought I was just going to make for myself, which is usually what happens in my life. I notice I have a need for something or a desire for something, and I go looking for it and it doesn't exist. Or whatever is out there isn't really to my liking. I'm looking for something just a little bit better or just a little different, something that's more my taste or my style or that works for me, and I can't find it. So I think, well, I'll just have to make it. And then that's what I do. And then I end up just sharing it with everyone. So that's how Hydro Hill started. And that's how many other things I have done in my life have started. So I have a couple other projects I've been working on over the last year. I have one that's almost ready to roll out. I'm really excited about that. And I will let you know as soon as that is ready to go. I will come on here and announce it, and also on my other channel. But the other thing, I think I'm going to be ready to debut that in the next week or two. So I'm really, really excited. But even though I'm not going to quite tell you what it is in this video, I will give you a couple of clues. So this is something that's definitely going to edify and uplift and help people feel really good. And it's definitely going to plant seeds of the gospel and hopefully will brighten everyone's day. Everyone who experiences it. So I am really excited, and at the beginning of the year over on my other channel, I asked the question, what are you guys working on this year? What are some of your goals? What are some things that you're doing right now, and how's that going? And what are you doing to help make this world a better place? And somebody made a comment, and I read that comment and couldn't believe that that was so similar to what I have been working on. So I think that's amazing. I don't think you can ever have too much of a good thing. It's like going to a buffet, seeing all these delicious items laid out for you to try, and you can try anything you want, but you certainly don't have to try everything. But there's an option for everyone. Some people might like fried chicken, and other people might like sushi, and whatever it is you're craving or what you like, you're gonna find it at a buffet. That's how I feel about putting out good things to beautify this world and uplift and edify. You can never have too much, right? So I'm excited to share this with you guys. I'm really, really passionate about it, and it's been quite the adventure trying to figure it out, trying to learn how to make this happen, and how to get the vision that's in my mind, that's in my head, out for everyone else to experience. So that's been a lot of work, a lot of time. I'm definitely gonna have to start slow, but I am so excited for the day when I can release this for you guys. So give it a week or two, you're gonna hear all about it. And then the other thing I've already given the green light for, I've already got that going through a company I've hired out in Ogden. So I'm really excited about that. And these are completely different things, but they're basically, like I said, ideas that I had in my head one day, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna go see if I can find that online. I'm sure I will find something. And I spent a whole day looking and couldn't find anything that I liked that was to my satisfaction or my liking. So here we are. Anyways, these are all the things that I'm working on behind the scenes. When I'm not doing my videos, I'm working on these other projects and my business and running a household. I'm serving in Young Women's now. I'm the camp director, and I'm a Young Women's specialist over my oldest daughter's age group. So that's been a lot of fun. Anyways, I have so many fun ideas and things that I can't wait to share with you guys that I'm going to be doing over on this channel. I'm keeping all of this separate from the Happy Lady channel. My mom's trying to call me right now. And usually if I don't answer, she'll just keep trying. So I'm going to end this video right now. I have something I am going to be releasing in the next week or two. You're going to hear about it here. I'll probably mention it over on my other channel as well. And I'm really excited about that. It's something that I felt inspired to do last summer. And then I have these two other things that I've been working on for over a year. And then part of one of those things, the inspiration for that came in December. So here we go. Anyways, I hope you guys are having an awesome day, and I'll see you soon.